Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, mindset mentor and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest.
Well, welcome, Sage, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I'm super excited to have you join me today because this is a new experience for me. We are live at the Portland Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, and so you guys might be hearing a little background noise. It's all the energy and the excitement here at the show. And so Sage and I had actually done a recording a few weeks back, and you know, technology, the way things go, spirit, all the energy, it was just so powerful that it was a really bad recording. So thankfully, Sage flew in from Hawaii to Portland, and we get to have this wonderful opportunity to actually sit down face to face in person at the show. So welcome.
Aloha, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see where this conversation goes today, because you know, we had a conversation before and we were talking about illusion and the addictions of mind, so I'm sure we'll touch into that today. But I also told you before the show that I'm a willing participant, so I know we can go deep really fast and just see what happens. So yeah, I just want to see what happens.
Okay.
So let's first start off by telling everybody what it is that you do, like where, well, wait a second. What it is you do, and something that I really loved about our last conversation is you shared your catalyst for what got you to do your work. So let's start there.
Okay. Gosh, let's see, that was 1996. My sister crossed, and when she crossed, a couple months after she had left, she sent me a series of 3-channeled letters. And in one of the letters, she said that if I would be willing to carry on her work, which I had no idea what her work was, that she would bequeath me her third eye and her mantle of energy. And she said that if I would be willing to do this before my 44th birthday, which was a month or two later, that I would look up and see not what I thought I would see, but I would understand. So instantly, of course, I said yes. I loved my sister. I didn't know what her work was, but I knew I was devastated. And I said yes, and I'm sitting on the beach in Mazatlan the day before my birthday, 2 days before my birthday, and I look up and I see this parasailer, and I stand up because I realize I know they're not going to make it, and I was downloaded my first imprint. It took me into a series from that point on of working with my first teacher for a year, working with my first teacher for 12 years after that.
Oh, wow.
And for the first year, I spent fine-tuning this gift that I had, but I thought that this was the gift, the gift of third eye, the gift of sight. It was so much more than that. It has led me into a whole journey of spirituality, a life of self-realization, realizing the self, helping people, being of service, working, laughing, just loving life and helping people to assist who want to raise their consciousness. So that was an amazing way to start the journey.
Yeah, and I mean, every time I see you at these shows, you know, you always radiate this pure joy, this really nice, soft energy, and there's like so much compassion that you radiate. So was that part of the self-realization journey?
Yes. I want to laugh and say, here's a practical tool.
Yeah.
I often will say to people, find someone that you really admire, find someone you really respect, and emulate. Where do you start? Start somewhere. Start there. So I took my sister, who was self-realized. She was actualized. before her crossing, and I emulated my sister, and she was the softest, most gentlest, loving person. She was like the Pied Piper. People just followed behind her as she would walk into rooms.
Yeah.
And I studied and I understood that the closer we are to moving beyond the ego, the egoic mind, that the softer and less we have to say, that the less our ego acts up.
Yeah, it's so true. And you have embodied that. You are also a Pied Piper because you do have this energy and this presence that, I know people that have worked with you and they just rave about you. So.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that in.
Yeah. Okay, so you said about the mantle of energy.
Yes.
Explain what that is, because I haven't heard that term before.
It's if you want to liken it to a cloak of energetic interconnectedness, since we are interconnected, we are interrelated, that it's a vibrational energy that is experienced, that not everyone is tapped into. People may or may not be aware of their own energy of love. So what I have experienced is that cloak is of pure love, of course, because love is the only vibration. There's only one vibration, and it's love. And what I'm experiencing is that the awakening to self-realization is coming from being in the heart, being able to stay present in the present moment. And that's heart awakening.
Yeah.
And if you're not in your heart, you're in your head. And if you're in your head, you're not in your heart. So the mantle of energy was the heart awakening. It was pure heart. It was actually being able to stay in heart, being in the present moment rather than the I, the me, the mine, I need this, I want that, which is all coming from the egoic mind.
Okay, so let's get real here.
Okay.
Because, you are a human, and there is the ego and the self-realization journey that you're releasing, or I think you talk about dissolving the mind.
Yes.
That's not an easy journey.
Not at all.
No.
It's a dedication.
So I'm sure that you had some struggle in there.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, my first teacher said that I wore her out. She worked with a group of 4 of us for 12 years, and I was the challenge, because the egoic mind wants to challenge, and it looks like over-talking people. It looks like when somebody says something, you take the conversation away and you make it about yourself.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It looks like someone coming to you with an issue and you don't even acknowledge their issue before you start defending yourself. It looks like always having to be right. It looks like the need to know. It looks like the need for perfectionism.
Yes.
It looks like the need for all the drama and the intensity. And it looks like fixating on what's not working. These are all egoic experiences of the mind, and as we experience the mind, we're not in the heart.
Right. Yeah, there's a definite difference. Like, I lived most of my life in my head, thinking I could figure it out and use my intelligence, and because it worked, right, to a certain degree. But then there was a process I went through, these years of my own journey.
Yes.
That I've shifted more into that heart space, and there's a definite difference between being
Yes.
and doing or thinking. So
There is, it's incredible. It is the difference.
Yeah.
It is the difference. That's self-realization, is a state of being awakened, being aware, being love. It's all the difference in the world. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so where's your sense that we love to go deep in these conversations. So what are you sensing? Where would you like to go? What do you think would be the most useful?
I think what I see when I'm out and about, and the difference of being in the world but yet not of the world, or being able to facilitate or function in the world as what we do want and do experience. I mean, we are having these spiritual experiences, walking around and having life going on. Let me pause. Let me take that in.
So, okay, as you're processing, let's talk about the illusion of separation.
Okay. Good. That's my favorite mantra. Plain and simple. For me, since you say let's talk about it, I want to explain that Sage wants to explain that years ago she had the hardest time understanding what the illusion was. It's very difficult when you're sitting in a chair, you're driving a car, or laying in a bed to say this isn't real.
Right.
Or when you cut your finger, it's very difficult. The mind does not understand that and will not accept that. The illusion is, this is plain and simple what I've come to understand. The illusion is this, that there is separation. That the mind believes that there's separation. The mind believes that you are separate from me, or that my house is not your house. And as long as there is the belief that separation exists, that's the illusion. As we move beyond that and we understand the interconnectedness, the interrelated interdependentness, I know myself as your house. I've never seen your home, and yet I am your home. I know you. I am you.
And so, are you saying here goes the mind, right? Wanting to understand. So, are you talking, if you were to boil us down to the tiniest particles, we're all energetic, all energy particles, and in that regard, yes, we are everything is us. We're
Yes.
all the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's only one.
Yeah.
So everything is connected and part of that one. And there's one vibration. That one vibration is love, is source, is the eternal. And everything emanates from that one. Yes.
So we're like a big pot of soup.
Okay.
Little
Okay.
droplets in a big pot of soup.
Okay.
Or the ocean.
Or the ocean, yes. We're everything.
Yes.
I always, as I'm sharing or teaching, I use the example of an orange, where there are 8.3 billion sections of that orange, and yet everything is that orange.
Yes.
What I'm doing to myself, I'm doing to you. What's happening halfway around the world is happening to me. We're all the same one, and there's only one of us here, and you're it.
Right.
You're the one.
And it is hard to grasp when we're in the mind state. But when we're in the being state, it's much more easy to just be.
Yes, you can experience what is by the state of being, and yet everything that you're experiencing is being experienced through your mind, because the separation never occurred. There is no separation. That is the illusion. So therefore, what's being experienced is taking place in your mind, and only in your mind. So your mind has created this whole experience of this expo today.
Yes.
And this experience sitting with Sage is all happening in your mind.
Okay, so let's take this another level. We've talked about money, right?
Yes.
So if this is my creation, how come I had to pay for parking? How come I had to pay to get in here?
Because you believe that to be true. And you're living according to the third dimensional paradigm, which is that distant memory in the mind that's still being acted out, lived out in the physical.
So
Instead of creating someone gifting you,
okay.
or someone saying, I'm leaving, would you like my parking space? It's right across the street.
Which did happen as I was walking down the street. I was like, wait, there's a 5-hour parking spot. How come I didn't get that one? Yeah. Yeah, and so it sounds like things are created or manifested still in, I'm not exactly sure the words, how to say this. But we're still getting, like you said, someone leaving their parking space, or someone saying, here, would you like this ticket or whatever.
It's still happening in your mind.
Okay. So because that's kind of like what we need versus like I just walk in and it's free for me?
There's two parts to answer that. One is that if you're living in the physical and believe it to be real and acting out in the physical, you will live by that paradigm. Once you're able to shift that, even while living in that paradigm, if you can shift to the law of synchronicity, that is a beginning place to move beyond that, where you're synchronistically imagining and then experiencing. So you're actualizing what you imagine.
Yeah.
But that there's an even deeper level beyond that, which is, since we started out by saying that all this is just happening in the mind, that where did the mind come from? Why is there a mind? How do we have a mind? How do we correct? How do we dissolve the mind?
I don't know. Where did it come from?
Good question. What if I said there is no mind? Because this is an illusion, you're not even here. Because the separation never occurred, there's no mind. Mm-hmm. But the experience, the physical experience in the illusion of the mind occurred when states of mind formed instantaneously, all the way back to primal imprint. When primal imprint first existed through the concept that separation exists. Because that first concept, everything else was born out of that. Everything you're experiencing and every creation you're experiencing, whether you pay or you're gifted, is still occurring. Whether you pay to get in or you're gifted your ticket, is still occurring from the mind believing that separation exists. Therefore, that's what's creating your reality. We had talked earlier about money.
Yes.
And one of my favorite subjects a lot of times with ones is, how do I make more money? Or how can I have more? Or I want more of my needs met. Or I want more abundance.
Right.
I want to experience more of, just more. It stems from the mind being patterned in that particular way to experience less. So all the universal laws of creating a reality, the law of allowance, the law of accepting, only work in the 3D. And they are hit and miss whether people can really actualize those or not. You can go to the seminars, you can learn all of this, but why isn't it working for you? Because the mind patterned all the way back at primal imprint, all the way back to source. When it first conceived, separation existed. And when that occurred, states of mind formed that have reincarnated with you, have created the life-death cycle, you coming in on the life-death cycle over and over and over and over and yet again into this incarnation with those states of mind that are being played out in the physical, such as not enough money. So we don't correct something in the illusion, because the illusion is that there's separation. We correct, we move beyond, all the way back to where it originated, understanding and going beyond the illusion. If there was no illusion that separation exists, would there then be the illusion that you don't have enough money?
No.
Would you then have the illusion that there is enough money?
No.
Which one is real? There is or there isn't?
Neither.
Neither. Correct. But you're playing out one side if we'll say you don't have enough.
Right.
In this example.
Right.
You're playing out that there's not enough because of your states of mind.
And clarify, states of mind are, you say, feelings.
Yes. What the world calls, what people call feelings, I call a state of mind. Yes. And because there's a feeling of not enough, or in this instance, not enough money, then the person actually manifests through that concept, through that belief system, that there's not enough money, and you'll spend the rest of your life with not enough money.
Okay, I'm not okay with that.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that, Angela.
Yeah, we're gonna shift this, right?
Good. Let's shift this.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I've done since my early 20s. This is now 20 years. I've been doing my spiritual journey, and I've worked on money stuff, and I've done, every technique out there. But it's simpler than that, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet, the mind wants to complicate it. It is very simple. It's
Yeah.
very simple. Let's use what this is an example if it's okay with you. Can we use you just as an example?
I would love to use me and the show because this is, I know that this is my, why I'm here, this is my purpose, this is what I am creating, and yes, I would love for this to support me financially.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
When you think of, we kind of do a fish, let's fish a little bit.
Okay.
Go fishing.
Yeah.
When you think of not enough money, how's that make you feel?
Oh God, it's like a burden.
Okay, so you feel
Not
burdened.
Yes, not enough money.
What
Struggle.
else? Struggling,
Struggle.
burden,
Well, how come other people can get it?
comparing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel less than?
Not so much anymore. Before, because I have manifested things without money, and so I'm seeing that, I understand money is just, it's energy, and
Yes.
it's something we've attached to, and so I'm navigating around money. What was your question?
What's it make you feel like when you don't have enough money? You said it's a burden.
It's embarrassing. It can be embarrassing if I'm going out with friends or something, and like I don't feel like I have the money to spend. So
Okay.
I guess, yeah. I know for me, there is a fear about money because I had learned that money comes at a very large price.
Okay, so you fear money, believing it comes at a very large price, and that you're embarrassed to not have enough money. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all of those are states of mind that your mind experiences, because
Sure.
when we identify a state of mind, I call it a state of mind because it is a state of mind, not a feeling that's felt in the heart. You don't feel your feelings
Right.
in your heart. They are not felt. No feeling is felt. Even if you cut your finger, is not felt in your heart, or if you become elated about something. It's all experienced in the mind. So those states of mind formed through experiences that you had that you can remember in this incarnation as a child. And as a child, when you said money comes at a very hard price, there must have been an experience in which your mind adapted. It grabbed that. It did not get a need met around money. Something happened, and you formed a state of mind around that. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember that incident?
Well, there's I can think of several. So my relationship with my biological dad was emotionally distant, and so I don't think that he really knew how to relate to having a child, and so when I would go to visit, like money, it almost felt like he didn't want to spend money on me, or he withheld money or something like that.
Okay.
So that was one experience.
Okay, let's start with that,
Okay.
because we could go deeper and deeper. So as I'm doing sessions, I love to work with people. It doesn't matter what the issue is, because we'll go deeper and deeper. But let's just stay
Yeah.
there. You name something. When we think about a state of mind, it's the state of minds / plural
Right.
that are creating your reality. Your reality is not created from a conscious intention. That's an idea or imaginary. What is really creating your reality are your states of mind, played out through an experience that is similar to what you experienced when that state of mind activated or instituted as a child with your significant parenting people. So when you would go visit your father, you would feel like he struggled to not want to spend much money on you. It was not flowing abundantly. It was withheld. May I use the word stingy-ish? Being stingy? Okay. What ends up happening is here you are now. You patterned that. Those states of mind. It made you feel bad. It made you feel sad. made you feel not worthy.
Right.
Okay, am I saying that
Yeah.
correctly?
Not good enough, not special.
Not special, not good enough. So what
Not
happens?
important.
Not important. Here
Yeah.
you are. You've grown up to now 40 something, and you're experiencing not enough, not special, and you've started to pattern your father where you are not spending enough money on yourself.
Right.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
not inviting the average person who doesn't understand this work to go out and spend money, because you'll just create debt.
Right.
So
And I've tried that.
Don't
do
do that.
it.
Don't do that. But when you understand that you're patterning your father, you no longer are experiencing Angela, the divine essence self,
Yep.
who is free from the mind, beyond the mind, in the world, but experiencing not of this world. You're starting to pattern your father. So you're living with Angela as your father treated Angela, what you experienced.
Yeah.
And when it comes to money, that's where you've put it. So
Yeah.
you want to dissolve that
Yes.
so that you can move beyond that.
Oh, yes.
And if you dissolve that, as you dissolve that, you move beyond that, you stop patterning your father. So take those states of mind that it feels like to be embarrassed, not enough, not worthy, and start to dissolve those. Now here's where you asked me, how do I dissolve?
I was good. Yeah, I was like, am I supposed to know how to do this? Yeah, so how do I do that? Because I'm like, am I just supposed to go into a being state?
You're so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, so how do I do that?
I'm really taking in your pure light. You really are.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm glad you have this taped, because I'm going to refer you back to this 50 times.
Okay.
The mind isn't going to be able to assimilate what it's going to hear right now.
Right.
And you cannot figure this out with the mind.
Right.
Because the mind won't hear it, doesn't want to hear it.
Well, that's a good. Actually, I'm in a great space because when I'm doing these shows, I'm much more in a place of being. There is very little thought that goes happening.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Because this is what it requires.
Yeah.
To dissolve. In order to dissolve, when we're saying we dissolve the mind, what we're really saying is dissolving the states of mind. Not the mind that needs to get you home and remember where you live, but you're dissolving the states of mind. So as you're experiencing that particular state of mind, pick one that you have in relation to money.
Just with that particular situation, or in general?
In general.
State of mind. Not deserving.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a
Okay.
feeling of not deserving. Okay. So then create a quiet place where you can sit quietly, no distractions, no interruptions.
Okay.
And what this is this, it's not a technique, but what this experience is it's experienced experientially in the present moment. So you present momently remember, feel what not deserving feels like. Feel what not deserving feels like. And you stay present. Don't go back to the example. Don't go back to the past. Stay present. Eliminate all noises and sounds, and just keep your attention gently on not deserving. And just feel not deserving. Don't do anything else, because this is not an intellectual process. It's an internalization where you actualize. You're dissolving the state of mind of not deserving by keeping your attention on that state of mind for a minute or two. Now I'm going to get quiet while you feel not deserving. You know what that feels like. Just feel not deserving. If your mind wanders, bring it back. you're ready, come back into the room. Okay.
Yeah.
Take this home and do it again quietly. And this is likened to a glass of wine that you spill on a white rug. And on that white rug, there's this huge, now purple stain.
Yeah.
That's a state of mind. But each time that you dissolve, it's like pouring a glass of water on that stain. And eventually, that wine will disappear and the white carpet will reappear. That's a dissolution process. So each time you're present, you're integrating that state of mind you're experiencing internally. That's dissolving and dissolving and dissolving. Because I want to remind you that it is your states of mind that are creating your reality.
Yeah.
Definitely. Not the fact that money has anything to do with it.
No. No, you know what it is it's me asking for, I've noticed that there is definitely an energetic, I almost push away, like, and for me to ask for what I want, money, help, there's like it's really challenging.
So you want to go home and look at your states of mind regarding asking for help, needing help, wanting help, what it's like. What do you feel when you do that? And you want to take each one of those states of mind and dissolve them. So if you're dissolving 10 times a day for a minute or two, that's all.
Yeah.
Don't complicate it and don't make it any more. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate
No.
the dissolution process, that how effective it is. And remember, the mind is going to fight you on it.
Yeah, so what my experience was is I could relax into it, and then I'd kind of like feel myself kind of bounce up a little bit, like settle in, and so it was like, yeah, I kept feeling like I needed to just relax in and relax in and relax in and yeah.
And then eventually when someone says, I don't feel worthy, you'll think, what is that? I can't remember what that feels like. And that's how you know it's dissolved. It becomes subtler and subtler and subtler until one day when someone says not deserving, you have no identification with it.
Right.
The mind does not identify. Now, I want to say one more thing about this.
Yeah.
That, since we're going very deeply,
Yeah.
that the personal I, your separate self, who Angela thinks she is the one who identifies with not having as much money to be able to freely do these shows, go all over, create wherever you want, interview the world.
Yeah.
It's the personal I that believes that. So what is constructing your personal I are these states of mind. So as you're dissolving these states of mind, who Angela thinks she is gets wobbly. It's the identification, what's left. If there's nothing to identify Angela as, where will she go? Who would she be? What will happen to her?
I'll just be I.
You'll be the I am presence, yes.
Yes.
But what ends up happening is that you will start to experience the ego wanting to kick in and flare up. And no, don't do that. Don't dissolve.
Yeah, that's not going to get you anywhere.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And don't listen to your mind.
Yeah.
And my second teacher would say to me, don't trust your mind.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten you exactly where you are. Trust it to get you home, but don't trust it in the dissolution or awakening process.
So is this can we reverse engineer this process? And
That's cute.
and is this where we're embodying and feeling what we imagine what we want to create, and we're feeling how that would feel like? Is that kind of almost reverse engineering this? Or?
Not at all.
No,
It
okay.
has nothing to do with it, and that's another part of, with all due respect, the 3D phenomena that's not working.
Yeah, okay.
Because what that's doing is it's just polarizing the mind from not having enough to having enough. And the mind just swings and it polarizes. That is ineffective and will solve nothing. There is a state of mind of enough. There is a state of mind of not enough. Not worthy of it. I am worthy of it. Those are just polar opposites of the same states of mind.
Right.
They're meaningless in the dissolution process. They will not help you. They just are a temporary Band-Aid. In other words, I had a client once say, I'm depressed, I wake up depressed. I say, what do you do with that? I go out on my deck and I start to get grateful for all the things and count my blessings, and before I know it, I'm happy again.
Yeah.
But what's happened is the mind has just simply swung
Oh,
to
okay.
the opposite polarity. So you haven't accomplished anything.
So you're saying that in our energy field, our cells, are those trapped emotions, those trapped states of mind? Is that?
I'm saying that the mind is comprised, when I'm talking about the egoic mind, it's comprised of these states of mind, the positive and the negative. And as the mind is comprised of these states of mind, these are what are creating your reality. These states of mind, positive and negative. And until they're all dissolved, the mind won't be free. So to free the mind, you dissolve the states of mind, positive and negative. We've just started with your negative ones,
Right.
but you must equally do it for the positive ones. And then when those are dissolved, you have freed the mind. And that's what we mean when we say you go beyond the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many years do we have to do this?
It's a practice,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
start here.
Right.
It can go very quickly.
Yeah.
There is no time. That's another illusion. And it's another construct of what the mind would say to you to have you stop doing this. Now, when I say the mind, I'm referring it to the egoic mind. When I say the heart, I'm referring to the I am presence, the beyond the mind, the higher mind.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Wow. I am going to practice that because I can see how relaxing into that, how it does dissolve it, it releases it. So I am excited to see what it feels like because I have dissolved some states of mind
Okay?
where I don't get caught up in like an old story or something like that.
Okay?
So and that and feeling that is just like very freeing.
It is freeing. And I just thought of this analogy, which I just got excited about.
Oh, good.
I've
Okay.
never said this, but imagine carrying around these states of mind in a wheelbarrow. So you've got very heavy, you're lugging and lugging and lugging each and every day, and maybe some of them come out and some of them don't, but you're still lugging them with you. They're there because they've come in from your last reincarnation. That's what brings you back in the life-death cycle, are these states of mind. That's why you reincarnate, not because you haven't learned a lesson, not because there's anything you need to learn, but because you have not dissolved your mind. Your mind is what's bringing you back. So in dissolving, let's say each time you dissolve and then you're fully dissolved, you are eliminating one of these from the wheelbarrow. So pretty soon there's no wheelbarrow to cart with you.
Yeah.
You are free. You're walking in the world so light, if that's an incentive.
So, okay, you say that it's not because we have lessons, it's because we have states of mind that we need to dissolve.
That's right.
So, do the lessons come from those states of mind?
No,
No. Okay.
no, not at all.
Do you mind?
The lessons come from the mind believing that there's a lesson.
So,
And I'm going to reiterate that because these are 3D, earthly, Western teachings that you have lessons to learn. I spent 12 years trying to learn my lessons. There are no lessons to learn.
yeah.
There are only states of mind that have not dissolved. And don't complicate that.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Well, and going back to those, we were talking about the signs of the ego, like the kind of like the addictions of mind.
Yes.
So one of them is the need to know.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, we get caught up in this cycle of I need to know, I need to figure this out, and it's like that tape playing there.
Yes.
And yeah, you can never get off of that.
You don't get off because the mind buries it. And one of the ways it buries it is by swinging, polarizing to the opposite. So then you think, oh good, I've learned that. Oh, I've healed that. Until it shows up again. And you wonder why. And that was what my second teacher said to me. If you think you know so much, why is it that you're still experiencing similar feelings that you've always experienced.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, you can see, well, it's easier to see things, patterns in other people than yourself.
You mean it's easier to see their minds?
Okay.
Yes. It's very easy to see your mind.
Yeah. So like a year will go by and they're doing the same thing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because those states of mind are still present. And most people aren't even aware of that. They've never heard of it. Now, when I go out into the world and I'm sharing this with people, doing workshops or one-on-one, people are saying, I know that. This is psychology. And this has nothing to do with psychological, because the integration process is not a psychological process. This is beyond intellect.
Right. Yeah.
It's the awakening.
It is. Yeah. I'm just like being with that and without trying to think about it.
Yes, good.
Without trying to overcomplicate. And that's what I love, is that we're the ones that complicate it, that it is much easier than we make it. And I love that it's like giving ourselves permission
Yes.
to let go of the struggle.
Yes. Now, what you're saying, though, is still done in the mind.
Okay.
Because giving self permission,
I guess I really am attached to my mind.
everyone is,
Yeah.
until you now be aware of that
Yeah.
and start the process. Because people want to figure it out, and then they feel, pardon me, they feel like they have accomplished something or
Yeah.
gotten somewhere or they've learned something, and so, but they're still in the mind.
That's
That
so
hasn't
true.
changed
That's
anything.
so true. Yeah, we make our to-do list and we're like, oh yeah, I got that done, and then it gives you that that illusion of moving forward.
Yes.
Like you're living your life and you're getting all these things done, and it gives you that feeling of moving forward, when in reality it's the mind.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just playing it out in another, going to come back and cycle again.
Yeah.
Because that's what the mind does. So this work is not psychological work. It is spiritual work beyond the mind. It's a work of the enlightened masters who have understood, sitting under that tree, Buddha, for all those, that time period in the illusion was just simply he dissolved his mind is what he did.
Yeah. When you're able to be in that state of being, there is a clear distinction what that feels like.
Yes.
State of being versus the other state.
That's right, of doing.
Being in doing.
Like you said earlier. Yeah. I see you're very present with that. I see you do have understanding of that. That's magnificent.
Yeah.
Because there is a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's the difference between
Oh yeah.
3D and 4D.
Yeah.
4D is a state of being.
And then what's 5D?
Formless being. Because as we're moving up, the definition to me of source is beginningless, endless, formless, single, meaning unity, knowledge, being, state of being, bliss.
And can we do that in physical form, or do we have to be okay?
You can do that beyond the mind.
Mm.
That's beyond the mind.
Wow.
That's the freedom.
Yeah, that's
Rather
gonna,
than being in the matrixed mind, trapped in the matrix of the mind, which
Yeah.
is the mind is just matrixed.
Yes.
And we're propagated, we're taught, we're
Oh,
reinforced,
yeah.
we're programmed. So
and
this is the freedom.
It's interesting that it's like it takes almost a lot to kind of remove the blinders and see all the layers of illusion
Yes.
and the propaganda, or like the information that we receive.
Yes.
And it's like in society, TV, there's all these subliminal messages and things that we get, and there's, until you start looking, there's like so many things out there, and it's like mind-bending.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the mind's not even aware of it.
Oh yeah.
So that's what they say the first step on this journey is to create an observer. which is still part of the mind.
Yes.
But the observer is observing the personal I. So the observer would be observing Angela and watching Angela walk around. What does Angela say? What does she think?
Yeah.
What is she doing? And start to observe. Where is this true? Because is this real? Is this something? Because my second teacher said to me, "You're going to be one of my more difficult ones." And I thought, well, I've heard that before. And at one point, my ego was even really rather proud of that.
Yes.
And
It's like, it's like part of our identity to have things be a struggle, or it's like, be in control and be in charge. And I know that.
Yes, that's right. And that's the ego. Boy, was my ego big. But she said, your struggle, you're going to be my struggle because you have so many beliefs. You have so much knowledge.
Yes.
So many ideas, so many perceptions. You have to drop those. Mm-hmm. You have to let go of those. Think nothing.
Yeah.
Know nothing.
Yeah.
In order to be.
And that's so true. The farther along on this spiritual journey, like the awakening process, the less I feel like I know. Like back
Good.
when I was going through my master's, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know all this stuff, and I'm like, I got it all figured out. And then, going through this process, it's like, you have no clue. I mean, I know like a drop in the bucket.
And that's another belief, though. Is that another belief?
Knowing a drop in the bucket?
Drop the beliefs.
Yeah.
Not even that. That's another belief.
Yeah. Okay.
Empty the mind.
Oh, it's empty most of the time.
I doubt that.
Yeah, at least consciously, it's like, yeah. And what you were saying about being able to observe yourself, I know that another addiction of the mind is the drama piece, needing for intensity and drama. And most recently, I've noticed myself recognizing where there's moments that I could create a little bit more drama, and taking note of, I could create drama here, and then have that choice of whether I do that or not. And
That's awesome.
I'm not like a dramatic person, so that kind of might
But you're saying you're making steps. You're starting to grow and observe and make other choices.
Yeah, but it's funny to be able to step back, be the observer, and notice that, like, there's a part of me that wants that drama. It's like, that's kind of weird.
The personal I wants it.
Yeah.
Now, before we close today, I don't know when our interview's over, but I do want to remind the personal I of the two greatest fears that it has.
Yes.
Which is, I'm talking to the ego right now. Mm-hmm. The ego's greatest fear is of death or annihilation. So when it gets close to learning something or really dissolving, it's going to feel like, oh no, I'm going to die. Who will I be? It's that personal I. Who will I be without all my beliefs and all my... This is who Angela is.
Yeah.
This is who I am. And the second greatest fear is of losing something. So it could be that small, like, well, I could lose this job, or I could lose this part of me, or...
Yeah.
And don't listen to that. These are tricks of the ego, the egoic mind. Mm-hmm. Don't listen. Mm-hmm. You won't lose anything. There's everything.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can see how those fears lead people to make choices that keep them in that kind of being trapped.
Totally.
Whether it's eating,
yes,
food addiction, sex, drugs,
relationships,
being busy.
Yes. I don't want to lose my husband. If I go too much further along, or my wife, or then where will they be? Will they... All of that's just the mind.
Yeah.
The mind chatter. So you want to ask yourself 100 times a day, is this a belief? Is this a belief? Drop it.
Yeah.
Is this a belief? Drop it. I'm having a thought. Drop it. Just drop it. Let go.
Yeah, and I can hear people that are watching right now saying, it's that fear. I can hear the fear come up that says, well, if I just drop all these thoughts and my beliefs, who am I going to be? It's like, I think there's that fear of stepping into the unknown or the vacuum.
Okay, that's another belief.
Okay.
And I understand because I hear that too, yes.
Yeah.
People will say that, but that's another belief.
Which part?
A vacuum, stepping into the unknown. Who says it's unknown?
Yeah, to our awareness.
Except to the mind.
Yeah.
So the mind will use whatever it needs to use, whatever it can use to get you. Don't listen to the mind.
And what you're saying falls in with synchronicity, that all these things line up for us outside of our awareness.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. It's just us getting out of the way to create space for that to happen.
Yes, that's right. And synchronicity is such an awesome place to be.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. How synchronistic was it that we had an interview that we did online, and my intention for the show was to do things live and in person.
Yes.
And then that whole thing just kind of fell apart. And how synchronistic that you happen to be here the weekend the show is to air. I mean, you can't even like create that.
No, that is synchronistic. And I'm so honored.
Yes.
This feels so wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Thank you,
good.
thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me. Yeah, this was like, I always say, I never know where we're going to end up with these shows. And yeah, this was like such a really very depthful, I don't even know if that's a word,
Sure.
full of depth conversation that I know that the viewers, the listeners, they're going to be able to tap in and start dissolving their states of mind.
Yay.
And then, they can definitely contact you if they want help, because the stuff comes up, the ego jumps in there, and unless you really get into that practice and discipline, it can be challenging. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just close with saying that these teachings are very much in alignment with the Vedanta, Upanishad, and that these are studies, these are teachings. So where they can go for either online is they can either get a hold of me, or they can study Nisargadatta, or they can study Sri Ramana Maharishi. These are all enlightened master teachings, Muji, that are all designed in dissolving the mind. These are the words that I use, but it's a dissolution of the mind, freeing the mind from the life-death cycle. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yay! And it's a wrap.
Yay.
And now for you, my gorgeous goddess. Was there something from the show that resonated with you? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Head on over to today's show page at theawakenedgoddess.com and leave me a comment. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show on iTunes and please share it with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, join the Awakened Goddess community to get bonus content from the show. And until next time, goodbye everyone! Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.